In January, on the 46th anniversary of the Roe v. Wade decision, which led to 61 million abortions in America, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a bill into law allowing abortion up until the moment of birth for any reason. As he signed the bill, essentially legalizing infanticide, members of the state Senate stood and cheered. Just days later, a Virginia lawmaker, Kathy Tran, proposed something called the Repeal Act, which would strike down all restrictions on late-term abortions.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs that she is about to give a birth, would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would make.
I understand that. I'm asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
Lest one think Kathy Tran misspoke, Virginia's governor stepped forward the next day to clarify how the bill would work.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mothers.
One can see by the timing of these events that they represent a well-orchestrated push. This movement is not only about making abortion more prevalent, but about numbing us to the horrific reality of infanticide. They want to make that which horrifies us today seem commonplace tomorrow. Even pro-abortion advocates once had enough shame to profess that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. Now, they stand in celebration, cheering a law that allows for fully viable babies to be murdered at their mother's behest. This systematic devaluing of the sanctity of human life is right out of the pit of hell. Of those who would advocate such evil, the Lord Jesus Christ himself said, "You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning." Friends, we stand at a time in the life of our nation where its conscience has been seared beyond recognition. But as the darkness grows deeper, we must continue to shine the light of truth. We must continue to vote and act for life. But we must also pray to God that He pour out His Spirit, replacing hearts of stone with hearts of flesh. Otherwise, America certainly deserves the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah, only more so.